Welcome to Names and Coffee with me, Alix, and I do have my coffee with me. I can prove it to you. You ready? It's a latte. I make my lattes with brown sugar and cinnamon and oat milk, and it's like I'm drinking a cinnamon bun, and life is complete for just a couple of minutes. So I just had some thoughts. And to love names, you have to talk about names, right? You know, you have conversations. You find people who like something that you do, and you want to have conversations about it. And you want to have your favorites, and you want to talk about the things that are not your favorites, because that's real life. It's real talk. It's having honest conversations. And then I think that there are a lot of people who like to bring their honest conversations to the internet. And then it just becomes a slurry. It's just a cesspool of honest opinions. And you know, the social media with the blue icon is the worst of it. And you just go, this isn't productive. Nobody's actually changing each other's mind about anything. You're just talking about your own worldview and what you believe and how you believe it's right. So honest conversations are so important, but I feel like they have to be measured. You know, honesty is like baking soda. You know, they're a little at a time. Oh my gosh. Everybody's like, Alix just told us to only be a little honest. I did not say that. No. So if you love names, you talk about names. You have honest conversations about names, and that's how you have a favorite list of names. And I think one of the most fun conversations we all like to have is our favorite celebrity baby names. You know, Jason Bateman and Amanda Anka have a little girl. They have two, but one of them is named Maple Sylvie. And as soon as somebody says celebrity baby name, I go Maple Sylvie, because I love that name. It's just, to me, it's epic. And that brings up people wanting to talk about their least favorite celebrity baby names, which leads down the road of, I like to call it the poo-poo department. And I think you know what I mean, but and then begins the conversations of the out there names, the names that are outside of the normal hemisphere, like what we would call real people names, in quotes. And then those names get trashed. And the argument is that, oh, you're setting them up for a horrible life. You're setting them up to not be taken seriously, and you're setting them up for hardship. And I believe as people, we all have a responsibility to leave the earth a better place. I think that we all need to have this commission to be, what's the word I'm looking for? To be activated inside of ourselves with purpose to say, I want to make this world more beautiful than how I found it. How do I serve people? How do I help people? How do I help my neighbor? How do I end family baggage and within myself and my own life? And with that comes the responsibility of the next generation. And so I would say most people who are becoming parents are wanting to give their kids the best. Are there people who don't? Yeah, there are people who are so stuck inside of themselves and inside of their own hurting worldview that they can't help it. That's a natural part of humanity. But I think for the most part, we all have that next generation in mind. And if you don't believe me, just go to a mom forum and bring up a hot topic and see how many women will defend it to the death. It's like, what was that with the gladiators when you'd go in the theater and they would all watch people club each other to death? That's basically any kind of forum or Facebook group message. So why am I going down this road? Because I believe that it's easy for names to get objectified. Suddenly they just become sounds and letters and where they originated from and all of that. And yes, that does have its measure. You need a little bit of baking soda in your recipe. You need certain things to keep everything in balance. But they just get objectified too. I think that's horrible. No, I think that's horrible. Like, you don't even know how horrible it is. Like, you're ruining your kid's life. And the mockery sometimes that ensues. And I've been guilty of it. And what I would say to that is to the reply of, you're setting them up for people who name their kids crazy names, in quotes. You are setting them up for a life of hardship. Maybe, probably, sometimes, I guess. If you name your kid a certain names, like if you name your kid Hitler, or if you name your kid Aryan, and the bakery doesn't want to put her name on the birthday cake, yeah. The world's going round with a lot of different people in it. But I think it's incomplete to just broad brush that across a lot of names outside of the, in quotes, normal hemisphere of what is deemed acceptable to name a kid. Because I would pose this question to you. Are kids free from a life of struggle and heartache if they're given normal, average, polite names? Is it possible for a kid named John or George, or a girl named Emily or Anna, to have a life of hardship, just like Rocket or Elsie Otter? Yeah. And I hear some of you saying, yeah, but why would you set them up with a name right from the get-go? I have known people with what would be considered average names to be tortured by anxiety and the repercussions from childhood trauma. And let that sink in for just a minute. Childhood trauma is real. It takes a lot of your life to outgrow that, to change from that. And I think there is, like I said before, there is the responsibility to make sure you're setting up your kids for a life of success. And I believe it does not begin and end with names. I believe names are important and they're cool and they're fun. And whatever your worldview is, your personal worldview, the normal spectrum ebbs and flows. Some are wide, some are narrow. I believe your worldview is with how much you've traveled and how much you've seen people and interacted. Seeing all kinds broadens your worldview. I think it's short-sighted to say a name is going to make or break somebody. Sometimes I've heard somebody say their name and I go, wow, I bet that's been hard for them to have that name. And then they immediately say, and I love it. So I think that naming your child is just a first step. But there's a lot of steps between cutting the cord and being launched into the world. And yeah, name conversations are important, but they're just a piece. They're just a step. And I just know that there's going to be arguments of, yeah, but your name should be normal. It should not be weird. Well, I think that we all have our own personal responsibility for our beliefs and our worldview in our life and who we affect. And we will affect people in good ways and bad ways because we're humans. None of us are perfect unless you're Kate Winslet. And Kate, if you're listening, I think that you're perfect. None of us are perfect. Speaking of, Kate Winslet's her one son's name is Bear, and I think that is absolutely epic. Bear Winslet is epic. And the name Winslet is in my book, in case anybody had forgotten, because I hadn't mentioned it in the last 30 seconds. I love the name Winslet so much. I saw a news article quite a long time ago about this amazing and brave little girl, and her name was Winslet. And I was like, that is a freaking awesome name, and I want my name to be Winslet stat. So that was just some of my food for thought of when we have conversations, whether they be about names or whatever, let's not make sure that the subject matter gets objectified, because that doesn't feel good. Names belong to somebody. We all want to belong. I think it sets a horrible precedent to be so forward with negative and in quotes, honest opinions when that is hurting somebody who is in that situation or has that thing or has that name. I think that it's up to us to recognize that no matter where you are in life, there is somebody behind you, and you can either kick dirt in their face or you can turn around and give them a hand and say, I'm not perfect, but at least I'm a step ahead, and let me get you to where I am. Here, hop over me. Hop over me and let me show you what I've learned. Let me tell you how amazing it is just from where I am so that you can get ahead of me. Letting people cut in line. I think that's so powerful. Giving people room to be who they are, and giving yourself room to be who you are, for sure, but we're always wanting to change, we're always wanting to grow. And I kind of got deep. Sorry. Well, that was some of my thoughts today about objectifying names, and just to be careful and mindful of that. I love you guys. You're kind and you're smart, and you were born to do amazing things, and you may not even believe it, and you may be saying, if you could see me right now, it would not be amazing. But I know that that's not true. That's not all of you. That's not all of you. There's so much more. And you belong here. And I think you probably have an amazing name. Oh man. Love you guys. And I'll see you. You won't see me and I won't see you, but you can hear me in the next episode. I'd love for you to comment your favorite celebrity baby names, because I'm a creative and I tend to love super creative names and super creative things, and celebrities tend to be that. They tend to be a little bit outside of the spectrum of what is considered normal creativity. And that sounded really horrible to say that out loud, but I think you know what I mean. They're willing to step out onto the fringes. So I would love to hear your favorite celebrity names. So comment below. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.